Hi, folks. It's Eric Goins from Flywheel Studio here. I want to talk about the things that nobody tells you when you're building a mobile app. Okay. And this is kind of some of the things that are just unspoken in the industry. And I just want to be honest and open about what it takes to do this. Now, everyone's going to kind of know the cost of building the application itself. And I kind of hope that you already know that because if you're getting into this, you should know what that initial build cost is going to be. You should be working with a partner who is going to help you figure that out. And so I'm not really here to answer anything about that because I think most people have kind of the V1, the MVP down. We will have another video another time about ways to save money on that MVP or that V1. But today I want to talk about what happens after you go live and what does nobody tell you about. The first thing is when you finish development, the only thing that has changed is now you have a live product with users giving you actual feedback, requiring support, and having issues. Okay. I will be 100% honest. You are going to get inundated with all of those things, and they can only go up based on the if you have a poor quality product or build, as well as the number of users you have. Even if your app works 99% of the time, every 100 users, that means that there's one person it doesn't work for. So if you have 1,000 users, you have 10 complaints, and if you have 5,000, you have 50, and if you have 10,000, you have 100. 100 people complaining about your application every day is going to feel like the world is falling apart. And most people don't realize that. But when you look at applications like Uber or Airbnb, they are inundated. They're filled, they're plagued by support requests. And sometimes that's even when the application is working intentionally. Okay. So, and I actually didn't put that as the first one, but that is probably the biggest thing that we have seen is that people just aren't ready to have that support function. They're not ready to get the bugs, the feedback, the support requests, the refund requests when they come. Um, you are running a living, breathing organism, and it's really important that you spend the time to understand that and to some degree appreciate and respect it because it deserves respect. The second thing is you're going to want to add features. We always encourage clients to go in with the minimum V1 and save the budget for the V2. It's really a terrible thing when you're saying, I have X dollars budget, and I'm going to spend 90% of it on the V1 because you really want to get that feedback from users and then spend the majority of your budget adding feedback and improvements, adding improvements and features based on the user feedback. Lastly, it is incredibly complex to manage the technical ecosystem, and analytics is what I wrote here, but that's just a part of it. You have to deal with application compliance in the app stores. You need to deal with vendor compliance, running analytics to understand how many users are in your application, what are they doing, how many people are paying, how many people are churning, is actually quite difficult. It sounds like that's a solved for problem. It's not. This is why enterprises and large applications have entire teams dedicated to this. We're trying to find ways every day to make this easier for clients, but at the end of the day, it's a difficult process because you have to understand for your application what metrics absolutely matter. And it's different from every application. And so you get some variance there. You can't read a blog post and just know this and then go solve for it. You have to understand your application, your users, your process, your features, what you want to have features, what you want users to be doing in the application. And then you have to go find ways to track that. And that does usually require custom development. When you look across all these things between adding new features, bug requests, support, and then analytics, you're really looking at 5 people or 5 different roles that an application requires. And that kind of leads me to my last point. This is expensive. This is a real application and a real business. Typically, for the most part, I don't think you should be doing it by yourself. You either have to have an intention and plan to hire a team that can help you do this, or you're going to need to hire a partner like Flywheel Studio. And we're not the only one here. I'm not here to just sell us. I'm here to talk about the things that nobody really talks about in this industry. And at the end of the day, it's expensive to run and maintain an application. Here's an example of what it takes from just one app to become number one in the App Store. You can skip the first two paragraphs. Well, maybe not. It took 15 months, so a year and change, 603 user interviews, three redesigns, 246 builds, 57 rejections, 2,300 bug fixes, and 1.6 million users onboarded. It is an incredible grind and effort to get there. And we would love to see more clients get there. Everyone wants to see clients be successful. The number one thing I have to say is you need a team. When they're talking about we hit number one on the App Store, they have a full team behind the application and they have the budget to pay the team for 15 months. And I think that they did an amazing job. So I don't know that it's really fair to think that it's just 15 months. You need the budget for the long haul, which means you need it up front or you need a monetization plan you really believe in. The last thing I'll say is really not on agencies. So this is kind of something that's a little bit advice maybe to app builders out there. You need a distribution plan. Getting 1.6 million users on an application does not happen by accident, and it doesn't happen just because you had a good idea. Every single day, 500 apps hit the App Store. It is not a drop in the bucket, it's a drop in the woods, okay? And nobody is going to know that your application is out there unless you have a plan to get users on it. Today, we are not seeing the virality of social media apps anymore. A lot of the sharing features that built the behemoths that everyone sees today are gone. That era is over. And now we're looking at really strong vertical and niche apps doing really well in the App Store. But it's something that most people don't spend the time to talk about with founders, is that you need a plan to distribute this. And agencies can provide advice, but we can't do the work. And we, at the end of the day, we can't really create the plan for you. Yeah, we could tell you some advice, but we really rely on the founders to bring that to the table. Every single application I have seen be successful, the founder knew how they were going to distribute it before it ever came to us. Every application I have seen be that fail has failed because founders have shown up to the table without any plans other than going to the App Store. It is 100% a major differentiator of success. And then having the ability and means to pay for a team on an ongoing basis to support you as you grow and to improve the application, to pay for those three redesigns, the 246 builds, the 2,300 bug fixes is critical. Otherwise, you just can't get there. So that's at least what I've seen in Flywheel, the things that people aren't talking about, and I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to Flywheel Studio, and we'll see how we can help.